Hey, good Saturday morning. Thanks for logging on, checking out this forecast update at iowastormcenter.com, talking about rain chances that we have coming up this next week. Also looking at wintry threats potentially as we start the month of March, and also talking about that March forecast. So let's get right into it. Before though, looking at total precipitation over the last 30 days here, you can see areas that have just been hit multiple rounds here with heavy rainfall. The South Central Plains, the eastern portion of the country, the Tennessee Valley, portions of the Ohio Valley here, getting a lot of rainfall. Meanwhile, up here in the Northern Plains, the Midwest in general, missing out on a lot of those rain chances. And that's the pattern I think that we could continue to see here as we head into the latter half of winter and start of spring. Looking at season-to-date snowfall here, zoomed it into Iowa because I wanted to show you the area here across northwest Iowa where right here at the office we've had not quite 5 inches of snow for the entire season. And you even get into places like Nebraska, Iowa. Finally, a lot of other areas have seen a good amount of snow, you could say, for the season. Still well below average as compared to a given normal winter season here across Iowa. But we finally did stack up some decent snowfall out of that last winter storm that came here earlier this month. But you have a hole here across northwest Iowa and then also down there across far southeastern Iowa, where southeast Iowa actually got in on that dry slot from that last winter storm that we were just talking about. Now, going forward, we have the ridge of high pressure in control here this week, and, touching on temperatures here, you obviously have upper 20s across the far northeast, east central portion of the state, 30s elsewhere today, and then you get into tomorrow. We progressively warm up. You're melting off that snowpack here. You got 40s on Sunday, and then 40s, lower 50s as we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I even think as you get into Friday, you can get some upper 50s, lower 60s back into far west, southwest Iowa. Just overall, very mild conditions that are going to take effect here. And then we're going to watch as we get into the start of March for that Gulf of Alaska ridge to develop here. That breaks down, watching for a trough to develop across the western U.S. That's going to feed right across the center of the country. I'm going to watch for a big storm system, I think, as we start out March, and I'll touch more on that here in just a minute. But we have quite a few different pieces of upper-level energy that are going to slide through Iowa here over the course of the upcoming week, bringing some minor rain chances out of this northwesterly flow. And usually when you're in northwest flow, you just don't get a lot of precipitation here. So Monday afternoon, Monday evening, we're going to watch for some drizzle chances. They're going to be hit or miss. Not everybody's going to get it. That's going to be the general concept. A lot of dry air here, but there's at least that risk there. And then you get into Tuesday night, overnight into Wednesday. Again, another shot of some possible light rain showers, some drizzle. Again, a lot of dry air. I'm watching, though, on Thursday. I think that's going to be a time to watch for what can be a better chance, I could say, of rain here. Okay, we'll say a better chance. It's not going to be anything to write home about. It's a little shot of rain, but if you stack up all three minor events into one, you might get a little decent shot of moisture out of this. Overall, it's just not going to be anything too much to write home about. I think I'm more focused, though, as we get into the start of March here, and we've been talking about this now for 4 or 5 days. Hard to say exactly what this does yet, but there's at least going to be that wintry threat potential on the table. This right now brings it in around the 4th to the 5th of March. I would say, though, the week of March 3rd is going to be the window to watch for a wintry threat to slide across the center of the country. You can see here heavy rainfall off to the south, maybe even an icing threat into portions of the lower Midwest, and then up here into the upper Midwest, the general of the Midwest here, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, South Dakota, watching for that potential snow risk on the table. Again, don't know a lot on it yet, so can't get too detailed on that, but I just wanted to show you that. As far as temperatures going forward here, obviously above average as we head through the latter half of February, watching for below average temperatures to set back in briefly with the onset of that storm system like we were talking about the first full week of March, monitoring that. Again, just got to watch that carefully. The key takeaway here out of this video, if you don't get anything else out of it, is I think we want to watch how soon these above average temperatures start to come back in. Okay? I think that's one thing that's a bit uncertain, but above average temperatures start to move back into the center of the country here as soon as the 15th, 20th of March is kind of the the general concept. I think that data struggles to see how quick this takes place. This is winter's last big hurrah, and I think that you get those snow threats here as we start March, and then we're going to pivot into more of a milder pattern. And then touching on the weather outlook for the month of March here before we go, we released this yesterday. And a couple of things I want to note is obviously you have that wintry threat across Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Kansas, Missouri. Where exactly that goes during the first full week of March is a bit unknown, obviously, because we're too far out to pinpoint that. But then the jet stream moves north, so you start focusing these wintry threats way up north. As a result, severe weather threats ramp up here in the next couple weeks, I would suspect, across the lower Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee valleys. And then we watch, I think, central southeast Iowa for those threats to start creeping closer to Iowa here as we get into the latter half of March. It lines up very nicely with our research that we've done here at Iowa Storm Center. So it's something that I will be watching very, very carefully. Call it the 20th to the 31st of March. Watching for potential severe weather threats to ramp up. There's no guarantees there, obviously, but the research lines up. It makes sense to everything that's happening right now. That typically is what happens with La Niñas, is you start getting those severe weather threats ramping up farther east, and then they creep closer to Iowa as you head towards spring. And lining up with the events that have happened throughout the 24-25 winter season, it unfortunately does look like there should be at least one shot of severe weather in that time window. So we'll be watching that carefully here. But that's all I have for today. Stay tuned to Iowa Storm Center. We'll keep you posted.